On this occasion, he strode in and he slapped his son on the back and shouted, "Well, my boy, your father feels he's in for another great money-making day today at the garage. I've got a few little beauties. I'm going to flock to the idiots this morning. Where's my breakfast?" "It's coming, treasure," Mrs. Wormwood called from the kitchen. Matilda kept her face bent low over her cornflakes. She didn't dare look up. In the first place, she wasn't at all sure what she was going to see, and secondly, if she did see what she thought she was going to see, she wouldn't trust herself to keep a straight face. The son was looking directly ahead out of the window, stuffing himself with bread and peanut butter and strawberry jam. The father was just moving round to sit at the head of the table when the mother came sweeping out from the kitchen carrying a huge plate piled high with eggs and sausages and bacon and tomatoes. She looked up. She caught sight of her husband. She stopped dead. Then she let out a scream that seemed to lift her right up into the air, and she dropped the plate with a crash and a splash onto the floor. Everyone jumped, including Mr. Wormwood. "What the heck's the matter with you, woman?" he shouted. "Look at the mess you've made on the carpet." "Your hair!" The mother was shrieking, pointing a quivering finger at her husband. "Look at your hair." "What have you done to your hair?" "What's wrong with my hair, for heaven's sake?" he said. "Oh my God, Dad. What have you done to your hair?" the son shouted. A splendid noisy scene was building up nicely in the breakfast room. Matilda said nothing. She simply sat there, admiring the wonderful effect of her own handiwork. Mr. Wormwood's fine crop of black hair was now a dirty silver, the color this time of a tightrope walker's tights that had not been washed for the entire circus season. You've dyed it," shrieked the mother. "Why did you do it, you fool? It looks absolutely frightful. It looks horrendous. You look like a freak." "What the blazes are you all talking about?" the father yelled, putting both hands to his hair. "I most certainly have not dyed it." "What do you mean I've dyed it? What's happened to it? Or is this some sort of stupid joke?" His face was turning pale green, the color of sour apples. "You must have dyed it, Dad," the son said. "It's the same color as Mom's, only much dirtier looking." "Of course he's dyed it," the mother cried. "It can't change color all by itself. What on earth were you trying to do? Make yourself look handsome or something? You look like someone's grandmother gone wrong." "Get me a mirror," the father yelled. "Don't just stand there shrieking at me. Get me a mirror." The mother's handbag lay on a chair at the other end of the table. She opened the bag and got out a powder compact that had a small round mirror on the inside of the lid. She opened the compact and handed it to her husband. He grabbed it and held it before his face, and in doing so spilled most of the powder all over the front of his fancy tweed jacket. "Be careful," shrieked the mother. "Now, look what you've done. That's my best Elizabeth Arden face powder." "Oh my God," yelled the father, staring into the little mirror. "What's happened to me? I look terrible. I look just like you gone wrong. I can't go down to the garage and sell cars like this. How did it happen?" He stared around the room, first at the mother, then at the son, then at Matilda. "How could it have happened?" he yelled. "I imagine, Daddy," Matilda said quietly, "that you weren't looking very hard and you simply took Mommy's bottle of hair stuff off the shelf instead of your own." "Of course, that's what happened," the mother cried. "Well, really, Harry, how stupid can you get? Why didn't you read the label before you started splashing the stuff all over you? Mine's terribly strong. I'm only meant to use 1 tablespoon of it in a whole basin of water, and you've gone and put it all over your head neat. It will probably take all your hair off in the end. Is your scalp beginning to burn dead, dear?" "You mean I'm going to lose all my hair?" the husband yelled. "I think you will," the mother said. "Peroxide is a very powerful chemical. It's what they put down the laboratory to disinfect the paint, only they give it another name." "What are you saying?" the husband cried. "I'm not a laboratory paint. I don't want to be disinfected. Even diluted like I used it," the mother told him. "It makes a good deal of my hair fall out. So goodness knows what's going to happen to you. I'm surprised it didn't take the whole of the top on your head off. What should I do?" wailed the father. "Tell me quick what to do before it starts falling out," Matilda said. "I'd give it a good wash, Dad, if I were you, with soap and water, but you'll have to hurry." "Will it change the color back?" the father asked anxiously. "Of course it won't. You to it," the mother said. "Then what do? I can't go around looking like this forever." "You'll have to have it dyed black," the mother said. "But wash it first, or there won't be any there to dye." "Right," the father shouted, springing into action. "Get me an appointment with your hairdresser, with instant, for a hair dyeing job. Tell them it's an emergency. They've got to boot someone else off their list. I'm going upstairs to wash it now." With that, the man dashed out of the room, and Mrs. Wormwood, sighing deeply, went to the telephone to call the beauty parlor. "He does do some pretty silly things now and again, doesn't he, Mommy?" Matilda said. The mother, dialing the number on the phone, said, "I'm afraid men are not always quite as clever as they think they are. You will learn that when you get a bit older, my girl." "Miss Honey." Matilda was a little late in starting school. Both children begin primary school at 5 or even just before, but Matilda's parents, who weren't very concerned about way, concerned one way or the other about their daughter's education, had forgotten to make the proper arrangements in advance. She was 5.5 when she entered school for the first time. The village school for younger children was a black brick building called Cruncham Hall Primary School. It was about 250 pupils aged from 5 to just under 12 years old. The head teacher, the boss, the supreme commander of this establishment was a formidable middle-aged lady whose name was Miss Trunchbull. Naturally, Matilda was put in the bottom class, where there were 18 other small boys and girls about the same age as her. Their teacher was called Miss Honey, and she could not have been more than 23 or 24. She had a lovely pale over Madonna face with blue eyes, and her hair was light brown. Her body was so slim and fragile, one got the feeling that if she fell over, she wouldn't smash into 1,000 pieces like a porcelain figure. Miss Jennifer Honey was a mild and quiet person who never raised her voice and was seldom seen to smile, but there is no doubt she possessed that rare gift for being adored by every small child under her care. She seemed to understand totally the bewilderment and fear that so often overwhelmed young children who, for the first time in their lives, are herded into a classroom and told to obey orders. Some curious warmth that was almost tangible shone out of Miss Honey's face when she spoke to a confused and homesick newcomer to the class. Miss Trunchbull, the headmistress, was something else altogether. She was gigantic holy terror, a fierce, tyrannical monster who frightened the life out of the pupils and teachers alike. There was an aura of menace about her even at a distance. And when she came up close, you could almost feel. And when she came up close, you could almost feel the dangerous heat radiating from her, as from the red-hot road of metal. When she marched, Miss Trunchbull never walked. She always marched like a stormtrooper with long strides and arms swinging. When she marched along corridor, you could actually hear her snorting as she went. And if a group of children happened to be in her path, she plowed right on through them like a tank, with small people bouncing off her to left and right. Thank goodness. Thank goodness we don't meet any people like her in this world, although they do exist, and all of us are likely to come across at least one of them in a lifetime. If you ever do, you should behave as you would if you met an enlarged rhinoceros out in the bush,